I said I was done taking free products just simply to get a free product to create content on and push products out to my viewers. This one's a little bit different. Here's why. Now, I don't know that I've ever even done this before, but we're gonna do an unboxing today. I've got a small welding project to do today. We're gonna use this machine to do it. First of all, maybe be a little bit careful running a utility knife through that tape. Don't go too deep because there's some cords right there. Not that I nicked the cords, but I did nick the plastic protecting the cords. So first we have a ground clamp, probably copper coated, not the strongest spring. The insulation on this wire is not the most flexible. It's a budget machine though, that's to be expected. The stick electrode came all broken. ArcCaptain did send this thing out to me, but let me just put it this way, and I've talked about a lot of this stuff in my videos. I'm not that interested in just getting free crap just to get free crap anymore. That was kind of the original idea of YouTube, and the novelty of that wore off. But my point is, ArcCaptain's not paying me anything. They just sent me several things that I needed here in my welding shop, and this machine really did catch my eye. It's being a little bit different, if not better, than the competition, and so that's why I took it. We're of course going to look into it. I'm going to use it to do this small project today. I have no reason to want to lie to you. So my whole point here is this thing came broken in the box. Several broken pieces here of the stick electrode holder. Oh, there's more. That's all right, I've got a dozen of these things. You can see how it's broken there. I don't really stick weld much anyway. We have a MIG shielding gas nozzle and then 2 wire contacts in here, probably a 35 thousandths and a 30 thousandths, pretty typical. Oh, this must be a cover for it. Looks like they send a cover. That is an accessory that has not been included in any machines that I've gotten. Yep, I think that's a cover for the welder. Got a carrying strap for the machine because it's supposed to be a portable machine. I do think that ArcCaptain is trying to set itself apart a little bit from, you know, just your run-of-the-mill Chinese welding company. That seems to be apparent here. Looks like we got an instruction manual and ooh, is this a welding jacket? Not that I need another one, but I did not realize that this was coming with it. So it looks like they try to give you a decent starter kit here. This actually looks like a nice warm weather season welding jacket, which is good, so that's something I need. All right, your MIG gun. They have a shielding gas nozzle already on there. They don't have the Flux Core ones where you can see the whole contact tip. And that's it. Box is empty. Yep, definitely not the highest of quality materials here, but it's a budget machine. What does this thing cost brand new? I don't know. I didn't pay for it. Seems like it was in the under $300 range. And it's got some neat features. So despite what I'm saying about the accessories are easily upgraded. You can go pretty much anywhere on the internet and get accessories if you really want to upgrade them. They're all going to get you started. And that's what's important here. And this is a starter machine. You know, people that are getting into the hobby, people that have a few small projects they want to do, simple repairs, whatever. This is going to get you going. I think that's always their goal here. Given that the stick electrode holder came broken, and I don't really stick weld anyway, I pretty much just do MIG or Flux Core. They're easiest for me. They're the things that, not that I'm that great at them, I'm just a hobby welder. Everything I've done has been, you know, YouTube and self-taught, and I'm not that good. Nonetheless, I still do it. Oh, they do send you some stickers, look at that. And a setup guide, that's kind of neat. Hopefully this is a sticker though. No, seems like it's a card they keep on the outside of the machine. So what they do with these, this is a chart that shows you how to set up the settings on your machine. Most of these budget-friendly welders send all these things, but typically they're on the inside lid here where you put the wire. And sometimes it's difficult to get to, so I suppose it's nice that they made it external, that you didn't have to flip open the lid to see, but also would be kind of nice if it was just in the machine with the machine all the time. So it does not take shielding gas. You cannot do true MIG welding with it. You can do Flux Core wire feed welding. Core of the wire is flux that protects the weld rather than shielding gas. And people love to hate on that process. It's a great welding process. It does the job. And it's the easiest thing for most people to learn to kind of get some stuff done themselves. Welding machines are so inexpensive these days that you can get a decent one like this for not a whole lot of money and people can do a lot of jobs themselves. Let's get the MIG gun set up. So Flux Core is always ran in DC electrode negative. All right, that locked in there nicely, and then we've got to attach the cord. Yeah, I think the machine itself is kind of the awesome thing here, but they just went really kind of cheap with the accessories. Once again, I don't know, is that a problem? They're all easily upgraded. It's not expensive. It's not hard to get. A lot of this stuff's universal these days. It's not hard to find upgrades if you want to upgrade it, but realistically, this isn't, none of the stuff's any worse off than a lot of your other even name brand budget level machines. So all right, and so that means our ground was connected to the positive because it runs DC electrode negative. So the electrode's negative, ground clamp set up to positive. All there's really left to do, I guess, peel this sticker off and load up our welding wire. So this will only hold your small spools, but it does come with 35 thousandths, which is good. That's what I would have been running. Flux Core welding wire, all nice and sealed up in this protective plastic. Got to make sure you have your 9/10 of a millimeter wire wheel oriented correctly. I always hate doing this. If you want to know how to set up a Flux Core welder, you know, your first time, I do have a video. I'll put a card somewhere up here that you can watch on how to actually set these things up correctly for the first time. I just need to get it plugged in, and I need to run the wire out through the gun. All right, we'll get this set up on the welding cart, turned on for the very first time. All right, that's nice. Never mind. Fan runs all the time. I was gonna say it's nice that the fan only runs when it needs to, but it did just shut off, so maybe it doesn't run all the time. The tension's probably too tight here. Just kind of cranked it down so it wouldn't come loose on me. And this nozzle, does it just thread off? Sure should, yeah. It's on there real tight. Get our contact tip off. Man, all this stuff is installed really, really tightly here. Should be good to just run it. Come on, there we go. Put our 35 thousandths contact tip back on there. And our shielding gas nozzle. I prefer the nozzles for Flux Core that simply just cover up to the base of the contact tip. It just makes it a little bit easier to see while welding, but not a problem at all that they use an actual shielding gas nozzle here rather than a Flux Core nozzle. But all right, I'm gonna leave this alone for a little bit. I've got to do some prep work here with what I'm working on. I'm turning these into ladders. I've got several of these weld together that I got from my local scrap steel supplier. Well, they sell new steel too, and it's supposed to be for a ladder that I'm going to weld on the outside of my shipping container. Actually, I'm hopefully going to bolt it to it. All right, I got all my material prepped, and I kind of read through the instruction manual on this machine a little bit to get myself familiar with it. So we have a mode selection here, which is going to select MIG, stick, TIG, back to MIG. Then you select your wire size here, so you have the option of 30 thousandths, 35 thousandths, or 40 thousandths. We're running 35 thousandths here. And then with the FN button, the function button, you select the material thickness you're welding. So I'm welding actually 1/4 inch here. Seem like, and we're maxed out here, so it doesn't seem like this machine quite will do 1/4 inch. In my opinion, 120 volt machines max out mostly at about 1/8 of an inch. You might be able to get 3/16 of an inch out of them, but getting 1/4 inch out of a 120 volt machine, 110 volt machine, good luck. I mean, there are ways around it. If I wanted to bevel these, this machine would be able to do it. If I wanted to bevel it and then run multiple passes, I just don't think it's that important. So we are going to run this thing on max power. I'm going to talk about some of the specs later on, but it should be running, it said 60% duty cycle. I need to check and see what they're claiming the power output is for that. All right. I am a little bit rusty with welding, and this is a brand new machine, and I'm just a hobby welder, and I've always been very clear about that. This may not be a world-class weld. Look at me, I'm already making excuses. All right, let's see how this goes. I do have a dedicated 20 amp breaker. Only the welding machine runs on it, and I did just trip it. So there's the first weld bead. It welds very, very smoothly, even though, you know, we're running it on synergic control, and this material, once again, is too thick. But it laid a nice bead there. The welding wire even seems to be decent quality just by judging by the weld. See if I can run a little nicer bead. There's the next bead. Didn't have the best stop and start after the breaker cut out. Try and be a little more proactive this time, and oh, got a little porosity there. Keep the breaker from tripping by doing a little bit shorter runs. Which, by the way, the breaker tripping is 100% the fault of any 120 volt welding machine. You're going to want to get a 220 if you're welding material this thick on a regular basis. Install a dedicated 25 amp breaker and run your welder off that if you don't want these problems. I'm ready to do that because I still weld 110 a lot, and this is a problem no matter what 110 machine I use, even on a dedicated 20 amp circuit. I need to get a 25 amp circuit ran to these outlets. I'll let you get another look at these. They were really not that wonderful to begin with. This is my worst one for sure. That was the very first one I ran. This might be my best one. I'll flip it over and show you the other two. There's the next one and the next one. Yeah, no tripping breakers anymore. Runs very smoothly. This is just 1/8 inch thick material, so it's working out good. All right, now that we've got a little bit of experience with this machine, let's just talk about it. I'm not going to promise a long-term review on this thing. This is an initial review, and I'm not making no other promises beyond that. This thing right now is coming in at $135 with their Black Friday sale. So they're doing a holiday Christmas sale or whatever. It says it's normally $220, and right now it's listed for $135. And I'll have a discount code for you in the description below you can use. I think it's 5 or 10% off of that. The thing welds, it puts steel together, and it does it in 3 different processes, one of which I tested. I have no doubt that the stick will work, but it does the job. So let's just talk about the reason why I felt like this thing was a little bit different and it was set apart from other budget price machines. And that is that it has Bluetooth capability to connect to a phone. With your phone, you can download the ArcCaptain app and you can adjust the settings on there, which is not the neat part, right? I would, to adjust settings, I'm going to come up to the machine and use the machine rather than pulling my phone out of my pocket and opening up an app and everything. What makes it neat is you can save preset settings. You can get this thing dialed in for certain jobs. Every time you plug it in and turn it on, you can go to your phone and you can hit those preset settings. Not that this machine has a ton of settings to mess with, but I thought it was intriguing. I thought it was something that kind of set this apart from other machines in the same price range. I also felt that the display, because it's a nice digital display, I felt like that kind of set it apart from other machines as well. So I'm going to pull out the instruction manual, and I hope you don't mind if I just read from it. So with MIG, it does 40 to 145 amps. With stick, it does 20 to 145 amps, and TIG 20 to 145 amps. And then the voltage range for MIG, 16 to 21.3 volts, 20.8 to 25.8 volts on stick. TIG is 10.8 volts to 15.8 volts. It rates its duty cycle at 60%. The problem with that is we need an output measurement so is that 60% at 145 amps when flux core welding, but you can run 30, 35 and 40 thousandths wire through this machine. They only sent me 35, and that's pretty typically what works for me. I have not seen 40,000 wire in little 2-pound spools for machines like this. I probably just haven't looked hard enough, but I haven't seen it. It's air cooled, there's a fan. It does not run all the time. It runs when it needs to. It runs when it first comes on, and then it'll run after you've been welding for a bit. But it will shut itself off and not just run continually, which I do appreciate. It's very compact. It's an extremely compact machine. It's 12 inches across, 10 inches tall, by 6 inches thick. So would I spend my own $135 on this thing? At that price point, I don't know if they get better than this. The accessories are the thing that kind of does make me hesitant to say that. The ground clamp, the insulation around the wires for the ground clamp, the gun, the stick electrode, those are some extremely inexpensive. They're pretty much bottom of the barrel when it comes to, I guess, consumables, if you want to call them that, on a welding machine. They can be upgraded, like I said. It's not the end of the world. I'm not going to tell you that it would be my first pick, that like this, if I was buying my first welder, that this is what I'd pick up. I'm not going to tell you that. I don't know that I would tell you what I would pick though. But at $135 with the display that this thing has, the ability to go to an app, which is kind of outrageous for machines in this price range, and save preset settings and stuff like that. I mean, is that stuff that big of a deal? I don't know. Is it that useful for the average person? I don't know, but like it does it, and most machines of this price are not doing that, and that's kind of where my mind goes. So it doesn't weld any better than any other machine. I would buy it. Would it be my first choice? I don't know. I don't know that I would say that. I wouldn't tell you what my first choice is even now. I don't know that I could tell you. But for $135 plus whatever other discount they're offering you through the discount code that I have in the link in the description, it's not a bad machine. It's going to put steel together. And if you're thinking of going with the ArcCaptain brand or just like a inexpensive Chinese welding manufacturer brand, whatever it is, this is an excellent option. And if that's what I was considering, this probably would be one that would be at the top of the list. So thanks everyone for watching. If you could give the video a big thumbs up, I'd appreciate it. If you're not a subscriber, click subscribe. We'll see you in the next video.